Welcome to Daily Life Connection. Thank you for joining me again today as we continue to explore paths that lead us to the heart of God. Today I want to talk about fasting. Now I know that's not going to make us jump up and down with joy, probably, because the spiritual discipline of fasting is perhaps one of the more difficult ones or the less enjoyable ones if we look at it as being a way to get something from a reluctant God. And I think sometimes we have looked at fasting like that. There's a need in our life, or we have a situation that needs turning around, and so we think, if I fast and pray, then maybe God will answer us. Well, that's a pagan concept of God, not a Christian concept of God, or biblical one, because He is not a reluctant God. He delights in giving us the kingdom. He delights in blessing our lives. He delights in the prosperity of His servants, it tells us in the book of Psalms. God is not a reluctant God saying, I want to see if you're serious enough, and if you show me you really are serious, then maybe I'll give you what you're asking for. If we see fasting like that, then it is a burden and a duty and not a path to the heart of God, because we don't understand the heart of God. If we think we have to somehow impress Him, somehow cajole these things out of Him, or earn these favors from God. God is a God of grace, which means He blesses us not because we deserve it, but because He is gracious, because He loves to do that for His children. So you see, if we're looking at fasting like that, then like I say, it becomes onerous, it becomes heavy, and and something we want to avoid unless we have to do it. But if we look at fasting as being a way of saying, you know what, I live in a very physical-dominated world. My physical body, my hunger, my thirst, my physical drives often become demanding, and they shape my life. And, like we have to have 3 good square meals a day or whatever. Our physical needs shape our life in many ways. And that's not a bad thing. It's just because we are physical beings as well as spiritual beings, and because we live in a physical world. And so those things affect us. For example, it's a foggy, damp day today, and that affects the arthritis. It makes it a little harder to get going in the morning and to do things. Our physical environment, our physical bodies often shape our activities and our focus and our day. Fasting is a way of saying, you know what, I'm not going to let hunger, I'm not going to let my physical need for food, I'm not going to let it dominate my day. I'm going to focus more on the spiritual part of my being than on the physical part of my being for this moment. Fasting is usually a giving up of food, giving up a meal, or giving up a particular kind of food for a short period of time. So fasting also could be, I'm going to fast social media for a day or a week or whatever. It doesn't have to be a physical food that we fast and give up. It's simply making time, that would normally be devoted to meeting physical needs, devoting that time to spiritual focus, meeting spiritual needs. It's a way of setting aside time and setting aside my physical being and taking charge of my physical being to make it serve my spiritual being, who I am spiritually. So that's part of what fasting is all about. And like I say, if our focus is trying to get something from the heart of God, then it will never achieve its purpose. It will never achieve its purpose. Excuse me. Jesus fasted. It said in the Gospels, he went out into the wilderness and fasted 40 days. His point was he wanted to get spiritually focused for his mission, and in his relationship with his Father, and in his relationship to his mission in life. Fasting helps us do that. So, yeah, this is a simple one. I would encourage you to try it from time to time. just spend the time, take the time to just read some scripture, to journal that we talked about yesterday, to pray, just to get focused on who He is, and let it lead us to the heart of God. Fasting, one of the spiritual disciplines, a path that leads us to the heart of God. God bless. Let's talk again tomorrow.